Once upon a time, in an amazing and marvelous stage of colonial period, there was this great book that is well known to all. And do you know why? Because this book is filled with so many wonderful knowledge. And today, we're going to unlock those things through the help of my companions.
The first thing that you can see from the book is the definition of pre-colonial period. It says that pre-colonial period refers to the span of time prior to the introduction of European colonialism in areas across the world. Because we all know that colonization has occurred throughout nearly every society in human history. As pockets of culture or government expand to new regions. Therefore, it most typically refers to the process by which the European powers colonized much of the Americas, Asia, and Africa.
Oral tradition or oral lore is a form of human communication wherein knowledge, art, ideas, and cultural material is received, preserved, and transmitted orally from one generation to another. The transmission is through speech or song or may include folktales, ballad, chants, prose, or verses. In this way, it is possible for a society to transmit oral history, oral literature, oral law, and other oral knowledge across generations without a writing system or in parallel to a writing system. The 6 most popular types of oral traditions are riddles, proverbs, folk songs, myths, legends, and epics. Riddles or bugtong, it is a question or statement that is typically presented as a game. It is made up of 1 or more measured lines with rhymes and may consist of 4 to 12 syllables. It showcases the Filipino wit, literary talents, and keen observation of the surroundings. The purpose of the riddles is to entertain, to educate, to titillate, to curse with expressly cursing, and to preserve the culture. The examples of riddles are isang butil ng palay, sakot buong bahay. The answer is ilaw. 2 batong itim, malayo ang nararating. The answer is mata. Maliit na bahay, puno ng mga patay. The answer is posporo.
Moreover, we also have the proverb. Proverb came from the Latin word proverbium, which means common saying. This is also an insightful, simple, and traditional saying that expresses a perceived truth based on common sense or experiences. It also states a piece of advice and use formulaic language. Aside from this, proverb is often metaphorical. For example, action speaks louder than words. This implies that action is a better reflection of one's character because it's easy to say things but difficult to do or to follow through.
Folk song, this is a form of folk lyric which express the people's hopes, aspiration, and lifestyle. The oldest form of Philippine literature that emerged in the pre-Spanish period, the song mirrored the early forms of culture, beliefs, tradition, and many of these has a 12 syllables. Folk song, it serves as a celebration of their way of life and culture practices, norm practices, and etc. The song with themes such as love, happiness, melancholy, misery, despair, and etc. The example of folk song is Dandansoy. A Dandansoy, an Ilonggo folk song that is sung by even non-Ilonggos. It is about the singer saying goodbye to Dansoy as he chases after a girl.
What is myth? A myth is a traditional or legendary story usually about a person, hero, or event with or without a determinable basis in fact or natural explanation, especially one involving deities or demigods and explaining some natural practice, ritual, or phenomena. For instance, how the planet was created, how humans and animals were created, and how certain conventions, gestures, or forms of human activity came to be. The example of this is the myth of Bernardo Carpio. In Philippine mythology, Bernardo is a mythological character who is claimed to be the cause of earthquakes. Yes, earthquakes. There are many different versions of this story. According to some accounts, Bernardo Carpio is a giant, as evidenced by the massive footprint he is said to have left into the Montalban Mountains. The Montalban's renowned strongman Bernardo Carpio possesses these exceptional character attributes. However, it also reveals his dissatisfaction.
Legend. Legend is a genre of folklore that consists of narrative featuring human actions, believed or perceived by the tellers and listener. It is the traditional story or a group story. It talks about the real person or a place. The facts are stretched beyond on the non-fiction, and the story tells in an exaggerated and a serious way. Therefore, legend demonstrate human values and possess certain qualities that give the tale appearance, and the main goal is to entertain the listeners and the reader. For example of legend is the legend of King Arthur. King Arthur was a legendary British character to have existed during medieval times and believed to have led the defense of Britain against the Saxon invaders during the early 6th century. King Arthur was a warrior king and victory of 12 battles. That's why the best example of legend is the legend of King Arthur.
What is an epic? An epic is a long, often book-length, verse-based story that retells a single person's or a group of people's heroic adventure. Superhuman feats, fantastic adventures, harrowing styles, language, and a blending of poetic and dramatic traditions. These are normally identified with heroic acts of individuals with unusual courage and unmatched bravery. The greatest Philippine epic is the Bravery of Lamang, or Biyag ni Lamang. Life of Lamang is a pre-Hispanic epic poem of the Ilocano people of the Philippines. The story was handed down orally for generations before it was written down around 1640. Oh, that's a long time ago. Assumedly by a blind Ilocano bard named Pedro Bucaneg. The story, Lamang was born during the war. His family was dragged out of their homes by their foes, the head-hunting Igorots, and his father Locan was obliged to stay behind so that his pregnant mother, Namongan, and the rest of his clan could flee to safety. Lamang, now fully grown, was able to battle Gumakas on his own.